But, you know, the divide still exists very much between the north and the south. And in the north, you've got obviously the Tuareg population. These are people who are still maintaining their demand for sovereignty. I mean, do you really think there's enough goodwill on both sides to ensure that, you know, proper reconciliation can indeed be held?
I do, and also I don't really think it's a problem of north versus south. There are many northerners who really identify with the central Malian state. So I think that, as I said, despite those voices on the extremes, most people are willing to come to the negotiating table and make concessions and talk out their differences. They're really not interested in war.
But the key element in all this is the fact that the Tuareg people have been and continue to demand for their sovereignty. Do you think that there'll ever be a time when they'll drop that demand?
Well, possibly, but when you say the Tuareg people have been asking for sovereignty, yes, many of them have, and many of them also have not. So I think there's a danger in generalizing and identifying all Tuareg people with the cause of independence, which is really too simplistic. There are many legitimate grievances that people in the north of Mali have with the way they've been governed, and the Tuareg people in particular have many legitimate grievances, but not all of those people, I'm not even sure if most of those people are interested in having a separate state.
Well, certainly there's a great deal of mistrust among people in the north directed towards Bamako, isn't there?
That's certainly true, but I could add there's a great deal of mistrust among Malians in general toward their central government. It hasn't been serving effectively the needs of the Malian population, not just in the north and not just the Tuareg. So I think it's a question of trying to reestablish a government that actually answers the needs of the people.
Now,
the international community in general, and particularly the French government, is getting ready to cut some kind of deal with the Tuareg separatist group, the MNLA, which has already taken great pains to make itself visible after being marginalized from the scene in northern Mali over several months. I just read in the papers over the last couple of days that MNLA troops are guiding French and Chadian forces on patrol in the region of Kidal. There's some question as to whether the Malian armed forces will be able or allowed by the MNLA to occupy the city of Kidal and the areas around it. The last I knew, there were no contingents of the Malian armed forces present in Kidal, only the French and the Chadians. This is a question that very much rankles the political class in Bamako and the Malian armed forces. They do not want to compromise on the question of territorial integrity, and they feel that they may be asked to do so by some kind of international agreement that legitimizes the MNLA. And the concern here, of course, among the Malians that I'm speaking with, is that the MNLA have no legitimacy in terms of representing the Tuareg people as they claim, that they're in fact a minority within a minority. And when we talk about the Tuareg people, we have to remember that they don't constitute a majority of the populations of northern Mali. Even the Azawad region that the MNLA claimed as its sovereign territory last year, the Tuareg are not a majority in that area. So I think the question of political legitimacy and who has the right to speak for the North, who has the right to speak for the Tuareg, what role will the Tuareg, particularly and more generally the different populations of the North, have in the Malian state moving forward. These are going to be very thorny questions, and I think they need to be dealt with very sensitively if the ordinary people and the elites in the southern part of the country are going to remain on board with this process.